What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the biggest misconceptions that foreigners have about Norway. I thought this just sounded so fascinating. I was browsing Norway on Reddit, the online discussion forum where people can talk about anything, and I stumbled on this post here that's very recent, where someone was saying, "What is the biggest misconception foreigners have about Norway?" And I was like, that sounds fascinating because Americans and a lot of people all over the world have a lot of assumptions about Norway, a lot of things that I've learned about, some of which are true. Like Norwegians are very successful, they have a great economy, they do a lot of great policies and a lot of cool stuff, and the world really looks up to Norway in a lot of ways. But then it's like, well, what misconceptions do we have? Things that we assume about Norway. And I thought that was a great question that would have some really fascinating answers. So let's take a look at some of these answers. Um, what I notice often is that people under and overestimate everything about Norway, both nature and living in Norge. I've had people ask me in the middle of Trondheim which direction they have to hike to reach Lofoten. Huh? I don't know exactly what that means. Is that a misconception? In November, and they did not understand when I told them that's 1,000 kilometers. Lots of people have no geographical awareness and think Norway is just a village. I never really thought that. I have expressed some shock at how small Norway is. And when I think about it, compared to America, it's like everything is much closer together. You can actually travel around the entire country and it won't take forever like in America. So that's kind of true. But I definitely don't think it's just a village, like where everyone's just living in the same place. Like, no, no. But it's 1,700 kilometers long and roughly the same size as Germany. Yeah, Norway is not small. It's definitely not small. Then they see pictures of Norway in perfect condition and assume it's usually like that. I'm guilty of this. I see a lot of beautiful pictures of Norway through all the YouTube videos I watch. I'm guilty of this. I do assume Norway is the paradise. And it's not. It's harsher than expected. Then they hike Trolltuga with flip-flops, one kvik, lunge, and then want to stay the night. So they really underestimate how difficult the weather and terrain is going to be, I guess. Norway is amazing, but usually it's either wet, dark, cold, or windy. I know that the climate can be like very extreme, so I know that. Or everything at the same time. Yeah, I'm not sure what people really think. A lot of Americans might think Norway is like a lot warmer and welcoming climate wise, but I know the climate can be like very, very extreme and very cold for long periods of time and dark. And yeah, that's very true. That's a good thing to clarify. Norway has the second longest coastline after Canada, towards the stormy North and Norwegian Sea, affected by the Gulf Stream, and at least half of it is above the Arctic Circle. Yes. People don't realize how different and sometimes harsh and dangerous the climate can be up there. Right, 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 right. Close all your curtains for a week. Don't go outside. Really? That bad? Then check how that makes you feel. Oh, okay. So if I like shut all my curtains and didn't go outside, that's like what people actually experience. It'd be like that. Okay, okay. That's 6 months to a year for most of Norge. Is this what people call Norway? In Norway? Norge? Norge? How do you say that? I've never realized that before. And they overestimate the simplicity of Norway. They see and hear these stories of happy, beautiful, and sometimes rich people. Yeah, this is sounding a lot like me. Circled by all their friends, living the good life. And they assume by simply moving to Norway, they will automatically experience the same life. That's a really good point. I bet a lot of people do move to Norway thinking it's going to fix all of their problems, that they're just going to uh, like absorb all this positive stuff they hear about Norway and it will change their life. Yeah, that's important. It's not going to fix all your problems for foreigners. They will not. It's not impossible, but you need to be prepared for that, both mentally and educationally. Norway folk are not that outgoing, and loneliness is an issue. I have heard of this. It's not easy for immigrants to get their feet on the ground, not just because of the language, but they do not easily accept you into their circle of friends. Right. I'm aware of this. It usually does not work to just join a gym and start talking to people. No one wants to talk in the gym, right? You have to join something like a CrossFit box or do some other team sports that usually works better but will take time. This is good advice, honestly, for people thinking of moving to Norway. And yes, Norway as a country is rich, and the high standard of living makes it seem like everyone is rich too. But which might be correct if you look at the income compared to the rest of the world, but everything is also proportionally more expensive. Yes. Yes, that is the realization that I have come to. That it comes with a price, literally. Especially everything that is beyond absolute basics or considered luxury. Yeah, I bet luxury stuff is crazy expensive in Norway. You can live off rice and pasta relatively cheap, but if you want to eat what's nicer, it gets pricey really quick, especially alcohol, which you cannot buy after 6, 8 p.m. Depending on the region, anything other than beer is only sold in a separate store, Vinmonopolet. And you still have to make it on your own somehow. Problem is, Norway has a sophisticated education system, making the job market highly competitive. Huh, that makes sense. Expectations are high. You need really good education. Having education in one of the most high demand jobs helps. However, most of the people I met that moved to Norway left within 2 to 4 years, mostly coworkers. That's a big sign that people are moving to Norway, probably having trouble getting like good work because it's very, very competitive, and then they end up leaving. That says a whole story right there. Mostly for economic reasons, less money to spend, or just not making good connections with locals. Right. You can't just move somewhere to a totally different culture and expect to just like find this magical happiness and tons of friends and that's hard. It's difficult, especially in Norway, where you really have to break through to make real connections. So if you do not like cold and harsh environments, you don't appreciate Foluslivet, and feel terrible alone, Norway is not for you. Wow, so what do people say about all this? Having lived in Norway before, this comment takes the gold, very nicely laid out. Wow, so people agree. It's always so interesting for me to hear about Norway being rich, but also more expensive. With a few exceptions, red meat, alcohol, gasoline, the prices for consumable commodities is pretty close to the places I've lived before, but the incomes are much higher. The cost of living went down when I moved to Norway without much change in my lifestyle. Oh, so that was an American? More expensive. Okay. Um, let's see here. See what the other big posts are. Okay, another misconception is that you can see the northern lights during summer. Not many, but a few Americans at least. Oh, Americans go at the wrong time of year and don't see the northern lights and they're probably super bummed out. But that's something you got to research. You got to know like to go to Norway at the proper time of year to see the northern lights. Yeah, I bet that Oh man, that's terrible. If that happens to a lot of tourists, oh, you kind of can, but it's unlikely. Okay, so it's like super unlikely during the summer? Okay. Wow. All right, a lot of people assume everyone is rich because Norway is rich. Yep, I could see that absolutely being true. I could see that being true. The midnight sun is just the sun, but visible at midnight. It is a special experience, but more like walking home from a party at 4 a.m. It feels like afternoon. Yeah, I saw in a video a clip of the midnight sun, And it's like, you probably don't want to go to Norway just to see the midnight sun. Maybe the northern lights, but the midnight sun is, it just looks like the sun. Like nothing really magical. It's amazing. It's bizarre, but it's not. It's like it's the sun at midnight. That's a misconception. Would be that the midnight sun is a different sun. Yes, exactly. I could see that. Another misconception is that trolls are these big monsters. Are they not? They might not be as smart as us humans, but they are very skilled workers. People nowadays are so racist against trolls. What? Why are they talking like trolls exist? Do trolls exist? I just a while back I learned that trolls originated in Norway. They're a Norwegian thing, and I didn't know that. Are they portrayed unfairly? Are they actually skilled workers? Do we need to be kinder to the trolls? Oh, they're not monsters, only if they catch rabies. Really? Do we need to portray trolls better? Okay, another misconception that it's really cold everywhere. Oh, really? It's not? Some parts of Norway are legitimately very cold, but other parts, like the Southwest, have far milder winters than New York or Prague, Beijing. Really? I did assume basically all of Norway was north enough on the planet that it was cold. This person's saying that when you get really south, really southwest, you actually get some parts of Norway that are like not too shabby in the winter. Like not as bad as even New York. That's surprising to me. I didn't know that. That's pretty good. Sandness and Stavanger didn't even have cold enough days this year for it to qualify as winter. Really? Bergen right now is literally the same temperature as July. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Another misconception about Norway. I have fooled at least 7 people that we have polar bears in the streets and treat them like you would treat a stray dog. And I convinced 5 of them that we live in igloos during the winter. Well, I guess that is a fun pastime, tricking foolish foreigners or Americans. You could have fooled me, maybe. Back, not anymore, but that polar bears are just in the streets. I mean, the fact that there are even polar bears at all is like, would be wild. A lot of these people are joking about this. Haha, we are eccentric. Yes, you're tricking people. And that you live in igloos. Well, yeah, Norway is like a pretty advanced society. I don't know why anyone would think Norwegians live in igloos. Okay, another misconception that you can always see the northern lights. Man, this would be so embarrassing to do this. Many tourists come without planning in advance and leave disappointed. Oh, that's so bad, but there's so much cool stuff in Norway. Like, even if you go and you accidentally come at the wrong time, you can still see the rest of Norway. A lot, like countless awesome things. So it's not the end of the world. It's just like kind of bad. Another misconception. Everyone is an introvert. Right. This is so exaggerated in a lot of learn about Norway videos that it does come across that every last Norwegian is closed off, introverted person. Don't talk to me. Very difficult to become friends with. That this is good to remind individuals are individuals. Like there's Norwegians who are more open, want to randomly talk to people, want random friends, are there's a spectrum of being an introvert. So this is a generalization. So I understand this. I'm a Norwegian and I'm a huge introvert. So when I lived in Spain for 2 years, I had a fantastic time because most people there are extroverts and most people in Norway are introverts. Right, right. A lot of Norwegians in general are more introverted than other parts of the world. But some Norwegians have to be extroverted. What about them? That's not a misconception, that's a fact. Nope, I work with a few extroverts. They're the ones who like team building. uh, I guess if we put the introverts in a fight against the extroverts would win without a contest. It wouldn't be a fair fight. What? Okay, you can run that experiment if you want. Another misconception is that Norway is part of another country, often Sweden. People have a misconception that Norway is part of Sweden. I've never heard of this one. If you get a bit out of Europe, many have heard of Sweden, but not that many have heard of Norway. So if you introduce yourself as a Norwegian, some would respond with mentioning things from Sweden, like ABBA, IKEA, Volvo. In Norway, in Norway, we like to believe that we're enormous, important, and known around the world. Every time some celebrity in a foreign country has mentioned something about Norway, it becomes news. Probably a case of the fact that we're lesser known around the world than we believe. Huh. So this really just relates to Norwegians' experience. In my experience in America, everyone has heard of Norway, but Americans probably could not point out Norway on a map or point out its flag or its government, what kind of government it has, or really anything about Norway other than they think it's cold and like has progressive social policies. That would basically be it. So people in America know Norway exists. They just don't know anything else. But this person is saying, in some parts of the world, people don't even know about Norway. They just know about Sweden. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I wonder if that's true. Another misconception is that Norwegians are nice. We are not. Do not come here. We will feed you to the trolls. Yep, we even made a film about it. Which was weirdly popular, even though it was about a troll eating people. What? I gotta find that. That's not a film, it's a documentary. What? A film about a troll eating people that Norwegians don't like? That's scary, but intriguing. I'd like to see that. We definitely feed our outsiders to trolls. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. That it's a socialist country, or I guess this mostly goes for Americans. Yes. Yes. This is definitely a misconception in America that Norway is like a complete socialist country. I just know that it has a lot of progressive, really, really cool, like very intelligent, like social policies and educational policies and tax policies. Like, that's all I view it as. But like this sweeping statement that Norway is a socialist country full of socialists is a generalization that's probably inaccurate. No, I think the rest of Europe thinks that too. I'm from the Netherlands, and Norway is often used in debates that it is possible to be a free capitalistic country and have free schooling. Huh, so this is also Europeans say this as well. Interesting, interesting. I've definitely heard that one before. I have 14 friends on the internet. Eight of them think Norway's corrupt because of all the oil money, which almost all oil nations are corrupt, but we are not. We have some corruptions, but it isn't as big a deal. Okay, this I would have assumed. Like, yeah, Norway does not seem corrupt to me. And honestly, like the people in Norway are very happy and they trust their government, from what I can tell. Everywhere, no matter what, there's going to be some level of corruption at some point. But Norway has done an amazing job, like especially with like the success in the oil industry. So I guess this makes sense that some people might think Norway is corrupt because of the being in the oil industry. Okay. Another misconception is that Norway is a utopian place where everything is perfect and everyone is happy. Yes. As in every other nation, we have issues. We have corrupt politicians. We have super rich people that only care about their own bank account. We have people struggling with mental health. We have people not getting help they need. Norway is a nation like every other. This is a good post. This is a good post. I think Norway is doing it better than a lot of the rest of the world. But at the end of the day, Norway is like, it's just made of people, regular human beings, like that make mistakes, have problems, But I'm almost gonna lean against this post a little. And from my like American outsider perspective, I gotta say, okay, you have problems and individuals in Norway have issues like everyone, but I think like as a whole, Norway, like props, like kudos to Norway. I have strong praise for it as a nation and as people and as a culture of like just doing a great job. Really doing a great job. Okay. Well, this post goes on like forever. So if you're interested in more of this stuff, check out this post on Reddit. It's under the Norway subreddit called What is the Biggest Misconceptions Foreigners Have? Because this is fascinating stuff, really. Oh, what is this? Another misconception is that if people move here, they will become rich and successful. Exactly. Another one saying that. Man, that's a good one because you don't want people. That's like the problem of having success as a nation, huh? A lot of people start moving to Norway just trying to like take advantage of the success and become latch on and become a part of it while not contributing. Like you got to contribute something to be a part of anyone's success. So, yeah, that's just a good life lesson right there. Anyway, I liked this. I just thought this was a fascinating little thread, a fascinating question, and it was. I really liked a lot of these answers. They were thought provoking. So, pretty cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway, Norwegian culture, stuff in Norway that I have never seen or heard of before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.